Hi, I'm James McGuire, and today we're talking about cloud-based automation and data analytics. Two very hot topics that are very intertwined. To discuss that, I'm joined by a major thought leader in the tech industry. With me is Tolga Tarhan, Chief Technical Officer at Rackspace. Tolga, thank you for joining us today.
James, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. You've got this really interesting thought about, cloud-based automation and how it may affect data scientists. I want to get to that, but first, let's lay a little groundwork in terms of Rackspace and being a managed service provider, which means that, of course, Rackspace sees a lot of clouds in action. So
Right.
for those who don't know, of course, an MSP is a company that helps other companies run their clouds. So correct me if I'm wrong, people come to Rackspace and say, hey, we've got a cloud deployment. Can you help us manage this? So that means that Rackspace sees a lot of clouds. Am I correct in thinking that?
That's right. Yeah. And actually, look, managed services is probably one word, but really it's broader sort of IT services, helping customers adopt the cloud. And there's a lot of transformation that goes into a good cloud adoption. Then once you get there, helping you operate in the new environment. And that can be a combination of us doing it for you, us doing it together, or us enabling your team to do it.
You know, it seems like with sort of the built-in complication of cloud, I mean, I think even though the cloud is not really new at this point, I think companies continue to sort of struggle with their cloud deployment. You know, what's it going to cost? What can we do? How do we set it up? How do we maintain it? And I think there's probably going to be, more and more of a need for hand-holding in the cloud. I mean, I guess I would say to you, what do you see? What trends do you see in the MSP sector? Is it growing, or is it like, no, we've got it, we've got the cloud, we don't need MSPs anymore?
You know what? It's changing. So I think the traditional model of MSP doesn't translate well to the cloud. In fact, our own portfolio has evolved because of this reality. And what customers want now is more of an extension of their team. So whereas maybe 20 years ago, you wanted to outsource the whole problem and just go, look, your SLA to me says these apps will be up and running, and that's that.
Right.
Today, cloud adoption and infrastructure is so intertwined with application development that you can't draw this neat boundary anymore that says, look, we build the app and you run the app. It tends to be much more cyclical than that and much more integrated than that. And as a result, what you really want is to get ops experts on the team that's doing the building and the deployment and the management. And so what we do is supplement your team with that operations expertise. We take on some of the really heavy burden of like the 24/7 monitoring and response in the middle of the night. But at the end of the day, we help advance your products and services and solutions to your customers every day and help our customers innovate faster. So that's a really different mindset than kind of the old days of, look, we just contract to keep the service up and running.
Is it largely cloud deployments, or is it just someone's in-house infrastructure perhaps? Or how does it break down between those two?
Yeah, our business is primarily around the cloud. Now, there are three varieties of cloud that we work in. There's public cloud. We're big partners with AWS, GCP, and Azure. Then there's private cloud, which is infrastructure that we operate on behalf of our customers, and they deploy dedicated hardware into that infrastructure. And then there's customers that are transforming their on-prem infrastructure to kind of a cloud-like model. And so but the common thread there is we want to bring the principles and consumption models of the cloud to those environments, as opposed to, in our world, there are other companies that do more sort of traditional on-prem managed services. We focus more on those cloud-focused adoptions.
Gotcha. All right. So before we get to your theory about data automation and data scientists, are people, do you think, continuing to struggle with the cloud? Is it like we're all relaxed with it now, we're up in a cruising altitude, or is there a sense of real confusion out there?
I think we're past the point of whether you should or shouldn't do it. I don't think anyone is saying, like, do I want this?
Right.
I think we are still seeing enterprises try to decide what's going to be public cloud, what's going to be in private cloud. What am I going to host myself on-prem? What's the right balance, and how do I skill up my teams to get there? So the how is still very much something that businesses are learning, that companies are learning. And that's why we're here to help them navigate through that how. One of the things I like to really say is, you could have the best team in the world internally working on this, but they've only worked on it, at your current enterprise, or maybe one or two before that, versus a team of people who have done this every day across hundreds and thousands of customers. So the goal is to avoid the pitfalls and take you right to the end more quickly.